I'm the quote-unquote responsible one, but really, I can be quite irresponsible.
Oh boy, so it's been about a week since the Try Guys went from being 4 people to a trio. This is all off the back of one of the now ex-members cheating on his wife with one of the employees at the Try Guys. And out of all of them, it was the one with this profile picture. When you get caught cheating on your wife.
Don't show me my wife in lingerie!
And the Try Guys have now addressed this 3 times in text format, in a 5-minute video, and now in an hour-long podcast. And there was a tweet that went viral on this that said, imagine your husband cheats on you and then his friends start giving interviews about how traumatizing it's been for them. And I've seen a lot of other mixed responses from the podcast where it seems like a lot of people are thinking they're being overdramatic. Why are they acting like they witnessed a murder? That are so dramatic, acting as if Ned someone. Things can be serious and not trauma. What the hell, man? Are they using their friend cheating as content, laughing my ass off? I mean, hey, that's just a part of the YouTube game. So today we're going to be going through key elements of the podcast because, let's be real, most normal people don't have time to go through an hour-long podcast to figure out what actually happened. And together we'll figure out if they're being overdramatic or just giving a reasonable response. And yes, this will be my last video on this situation unless something earth-shattering happens. First, we'll be going through the thread the replies were to, and that was by Variety. So the whole post starts off with, in a new episode of the Try Guys podcast, Keith and Zach opened up at length about the removal of Ned Fulmer, who admitted he engaged in what he called a consensual workplace affair and was subject to an internal investigation. And here's some of the quotes. Zach apparently said, "We processed this almost like a trauma. It really rocked our world, but also the ramifications were so clear. I don't think that I really ever stopped to emotionally process it. Even still, I don't know that I have. We just needed to make sure that we were doing things right," Cornfield said. "There's a right way and a rushed way, and we wanted to make sure that we were doing it the right way." Keith likened the experience to a breakup, saying that he listened to Olivia Rodrigo. Zach emphasized the physical toll of the experience took on him. "My BMs have been wild," he laughed. "The stress poops have been out of control." The fact that it was a transgression that enacted publicly added a level of complication to this, where we knew that there was this stick of dynamite with an uncertain fuse. We knew that at any moment this could and would come out. And then they addressed that Eugene wasn't there on the podcast and simply said that he was no longer going to be on the podcast and they were going to be rebranding the podcast. And then they finally confirmed that a 4th Try Guy will not be added. We will have new people that come in and out. I don't want to put the pressure on anyone and say, this is the new Try Guy and he is the replacement. That's not fair to them. We've prided ourselves for the last 8 years on being undramatic boys and I can't wait to go back there, Cornfield said. "This whole circus is not interesting to me and not what I want to be defined as a creative person." He didn't directly say, like, his quote wasn't directly like, "Oh, I'm traumatized." He said, "We process this almost like a trauma." He's being dramatic. And I don't see anything wrong with that quote. But now, for the podcast. First thing I noticed, BetterHelp ad. That is a hilarious ad to be on this podcast. I mean, I know it was probably not planned. They just probably had to put the ad on the next episode, and this so happened to be the next podcast episode. But still, a funny coincidence. But now, going through the podcast, apparently they found out about all this days before a massive YouTube event. And then they had to get rid of Ned right before they all went to the massive YouTube event. So that was some quick action by them.
Yeah, so we were in Palm Springs. We had gone down to do like a YouTube conference. So Zach and I were down there and we just like extended our stay into the weekend. Our partners came down.
At this point, we had already removed Ned from the company officially.
That had already happened.
We were kind of meeting up with all these YouTubers, and again, they're like, "How are the guys?" And we're like,
"They're good."
Good.
Pain. I said this in my last video, but I'm going to say it again. I would not want to be in their position. But then they discussed their reaction before it went public.
We had been planning at this point to release a statement late. We were trying to figure out what day is right. We were looking at the content that we had promised.
And we had made an announcement that we were going down to one video a week in October to gear up for November, December, which is not untrue, but it was also because we had some videos that we couldn't release.
From a YouTube perspective as well, like, let alone the fact that he absolutely betrayed your long-standing friendship and opened you and your company up to a bunch of legal liabilities, but having to reshoot videos as well, that's absolutely the worst. There's few things I hate more than having to reshoot content. I mean, it just ruins the entire making of that video, because when you do it your first try, or well, when I finish recording a video, I'm happy with that video. If for some reason I have to reshoot it, all of my times I've ever had to reshoot a video is because of technical difficulties. I've never had a co-host who cheated on his wife, who I also were making videos. That just hasn't happened to me. It's not a common occurrence. But back to my point of reshooting a video kills your mood as a creative content creator. Because while you're reshooting that video, you're just sitting there going, wow, I could have used this time making a new and more interesting video to me that's fresh, that I'm not just reshooting a video. Because now when they're reshooting these videos, they're sitting here like, why aren't we working on new and interesting content to us? But our friend had to go bang the producer. And speaking of that person, it seems like they had a whole bit where they essentially defended her.
Really quickly, we want to talk about the other people involved in this. We're not talking about Ned here, but there were other people involved with and affected by this scenario.
In the internet, especially amid drama, that no matter what you do wrong, it's really hard to say that this is an appropriate punishment. It's like, imagine if everyone listening could think of the time they fucked up. Imagine that time you fucked up, because everybody's fucked up before. And you were #1 trending on Twitter, and the New York Times was mentioning you and showing pictures of you. Like, that's really hard.
And we're not talking about Ned right now. We're talking about the other people
Yeah,
involved.
and that is really hard to have that much, and then you have to think of like how many people are reaching out to you, but then how many people are reaching out to your family, or the people that they know you, and now you don't know who's not talking about you. That's really traumatic and scary. That's really intense, and I don't think anyone can really imagine what that's like until it happens to them, and I hope it never happens to anyone. It's just like really, really scary.
Yeah. The wrath of the internet just really sucks. So if you're a public person in the public eye, I know it's not super easy, but don't cheat on your wife publicly or cheat on your fiance, because the wrath of the internet is kind of crazy. They don't hold anything back. But like you said, we all make mistakes, and thankfully the internet has like no memory. So next week, everyone's gonna be talking about something else. But then they talked about their response and Ned's response, more particularly the fonts.
So first one, did you coordinate responses with Ned and his team?
No, we shared what our statement was going to be. We did not have insight into what his statement was. I also want to say that we did not coordinate fonts. I believe that he saw ours and copied it.
That is our opinion.
And it is an opinion that I'm not happy about.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I'm like, you got to choose the same font
that was
that made it look like we wrote your... Come on, man.
It's my opinion that was on purpose. That was to optimized result for him. That's my opinion.
I don't think anyone noticed the font. Like, I thought this was just like the default iPhone Notes font. But then they addressed why they deleted some old videos.
There are a few videos that we went back and privatized because we felt they were insensitive to what's going on.
I mean, understandable, but the damage is already done. I mean, there's already hundreds of these compilations of those videos.
What's going on with You Can Sit With Us?
Right. So You Can Sit With Us features our partners. Ariel is one of the cast members in that show. But at this time, we're going to give her some time to focus on herself, and we'll let you know if that changes.
So they had a TV show with Ned's wife, Ned.
Ned, are there any secrets that you're hiding from us?
Don't think so.
That's a lie.
One would think that he would know this would be very public if it came out. What did you do? I mean, it's easy to sit here after the aftermath, but still, what was he thinking?
Is everything on Dumois true?
100%.
Next question.
Yeah. I'm not. I think there's lots of stuff that's been reported us on Dumois that's kind of obviously false, and there's some stuff that like it might be true. I don't know. So the stuff that like people claiming to be from our office,
no,
and
there's
saying
not
that we're like forcing
here.
people to sign NDAs, like that didn't happen.
But as far as I know, like our office is so small. It's funny when they're just like, I'm an inside leaker, and I actually work at the office, and it's like they're one of like 10 people that I talk to every day. I feel like I would know.
Not even that many people are here every day, because most of them work from home.
Exactly.
I even think some of the people who are like claiming to work at the office and defending the office don't work here.
No, they're fans.
I was like,
yeah,
I don't know if you think that like some of our team of professionals write like they're 14. They probably do in their text to their friends, but not when they're submitting something super serious
Yeah, right.
to an anonymous website.
See, that's a literal nightmare, having a bunch of fans claiming they're working for you and being drama insiders. What is wrong with people? These guys make goofy videos on the internet. They probably never assumed they would have to deal with anything like this. It's safe to say this caused them a whole bunch of unnecessary stress. But their social blade is currently popping, so there's always some positives to the negatives. But then they finally addressed the decision of getting rid of Ned.
If final one here is, if this hadn't gone public, was there a world where Ned came back and was a cast member?
No.
No.
Yeah. And maybe speak to why.
No, what happened, it betrayed our trust.
It was a workplace violation.
It was a workplace
And that's
violation.
that.
It would mean to all the people in our office who knew what they knew, they would know that we were in the face of everything, like not being true to who we say we are and our values. So like very simply, he would have been removed. It would not have been this public spectacle. We probably would have tried to avoid that for the sake of the other people involved. But it happened how it happened.
Fair play. I guess this was the last episode of the Try Guys, Try Divorce series. Were they being overdramatic? Well, using the word trauma is being overdramatic, but that's par for the course. They're YouTubers. Being dramatic is kind of part of the job.